Mom set out for a walk in the sun. A mother pushed her son in a stroller. They went to the park where Mom unexpectedly met a dear friend. They sat on a bench and started chatting. And talked about many things. Meanwhile, a strong gust of wind blew the stroller further away from the bench. The stroller tipped over after hitting a rock. The little boy lay on the ground in the dark path of the city park. He was cold, hungry, and Mom was nowhere to be found. Moreover, it started to rain. It's no wonder the little boy began to cry so bitterly. Which grew louder as it approached the child. It was none other than the enchanting fairy Tinker Bell. Tinker Bell glanced around and discovered a large, broad chestnut leaf to gently shield the boy's delicate face from the falling raindrops. Then she reached into her tiny pouch and sprinkled magic dust on the little boy. Like a country. Which is on an island called Like a Country. There were some others, lost boys, who were ultimately saved by the ringing of the bell. He became their leader. There were many interesting things on the island. There was a snow country where they held sled races and snowball fights. The main target of their attack was an evil pirate-faced snowman. The boys absolutely loved to skate on the frozen puddles. The older ones held ski jumping competitions, while the younger ones built cities out of ice. A little further away was the Summer Kingdom, where the boys practiced archery, picked ripe coconuts from the trees, climbed banana trees, and jumped from trampolines into the blue lagoon. There was also an exciting obstacle course, and at the very end of this challenging course, a huge, sweet, creamy chocolate cake awaited the delighted winner. The boys also loved the amusement park. A magical castle and a mirror room. Of course, there was also an impressive shooting range where they could aim at anything they could possibly imagine using an air rifle. The Lost Boys were very friendly and often played with the nearby Native American Indians. They hunted together for the wonders of Wonderland. Enormous lions and majestic tigers, powerful bears and busy beavers, playful rabbits and curious squirrels, even tiny mice and delicate butterflies. Near the picturesque island's sandy shores lived the enchanting sirens, with whom the cheerful children loved to joyfully play and fish in the sparkling water. On the opposite side of the island was the bustling city where exclusively adults resided and thrived. They were all pirates. Their ruthless leader was a treacherous and exceptionally cruel pirate known as Captain Hook. He received his unique name because he had a metal hook in place of one of his hands. A large crocodile quickly bit down and swallowed it whole along with the shiny clock he tightly held in his hand. From that moment on, Hook developed a deep fear of the incessant ticking of clocks, always convinced the crocodile was drawing near. He meticulously collected every clock in the city and incorporated them into a unique part of his ship. All clocks were kept there. There were big clocks and small ones, alarm clocks and wall clocks, cuckoo clocks and musical clocks. In his many restless moments, which happened all too often, he found great comfort in sitting there and listening to the profound silence. And whenever he was extremely angry, he would grab a massive hammer and violently smash one of the ornate clocks in frustration. It brought him relief. One day, curious Peter stumbled upon the old clockmaker's quaint cabin, and out of mischief he quietly entered and wound up all the clocks. As a result, the entire wooden deck began to tick and clatter loudly. Hook was so terrified that he didn't come out of his cabin for 3 days due to stomach issues. He decided to kill him. truly enjoyed his adventurous life among the spirited Lost Boys. When he reached the age of 12, he firmly decided that he didn't want to grow older or become a responsible adult. From then on, he truly stopped growing. With ringing bells, lively Indians, and wailing sirens, Peter faced them with a beautiful shiny sword he received from the bells. One of Peter's favorite games was Shadow. The Shadow didn't want to follow the little boy, always escaping and needing to be chased. One day, it unexpectedly slipped into the real world, and Peter, feeling hesitant, reluctantly followed. Bells, who never strayed even a single step away from him, of course happily went along beside him. Peter chased his shadow between trees, utility poles, and buildings. He believed he would manage to catch it as the shadow swiftly flew into a house through an open window invitingly. The little boy eagerly ran after it, but the playful shadow laughed and quickly vanished out the window. Peter sat down tiredly in the middle of the dark room and began to cry. Suddenly the light turned on, and the little boy noticed he was in a children's room. In one cozy bed, a 5-year-old boy was peacefully sleeping, while in the other a little girl was sitting up, just beginning to wake up. "Why are you crying?" the little girl curiously asked the boy in strange clothes. "He always runs away from me," complained Peter. "Don't cry. If you want, I'll give you a kiss," said the little girl. "I want to," agreed the curious little boy. The little girl quietly sat by the bedside table, carefully took out a small toy, and seriously handed it over to Peter. "What's your name?" asked the little boy. "I'm Wendy," the little girl replied with a smile. "And I'm Peter Pan. Will you come to Neverland?" Betty asked. "What is Minhausa?" my Wendy inquired. "It truly is an enchanted land. Lost little boys live there. You will be their mother. You could take care of the lost little boys and tell us stories," replied the little boy. "I would love to see the enchanted land," said the little girl. At Betty's signal, they sprinkled magic dust on Wendy and flew away. They soared high among the fluffy clouds, joyfully chasing colorful birds, then skillfully weaving through the bright stars, dodging the racing comets. As if it were a country. Circling around the beautiful island, each following their unique paths. The very first ones to arrive were the lost little boys. They were soft and furry, looking quite plump as they were dressed in warm bearskins. Following them were the Indians, stepping silently through the thicket. When Peter Pan joyfully returned to Neverland, the Lost Boys warmly welcomed him and Wendy with immense happiness. "We need to build a house for Wendy before night falls," said Peter. The boys got to work. When someone hit their finger with the hammer, when the boys were tickled by the branches of the trees, they carried large heavy logs and discovered many brightly spotted toadstools along their path. They carefully caught fireflies in colorful lanterns to beautifully light up the little house. They competed with each other to see who had the best ideas for decorating the house. The little girl soon found herself living in the prettiest, most enchanting house she could ever imagine. Instead of chairs, there were mushrooms, and a large log served as a table. Which consistently grew back every time it was tea time. The little girl, like a real mommy, washed and hung the laundry in front of the fireplace. At night, after telling the boys an exciting story, she gently lit the fire. She comfortably rested her tired feet on a large wolf's paw and playfully kicked the boy's shoes nearby. Wendy's closest and dearest friend became Tinkerbell. The fairy had her own room in the little girl's house. A blooming peach tree divided the room. The quaint room was cleverly hidden from the others by a vibrant blooming peach tree which gracefully covered it like a soft curtain. The beautifully crafted bed was made of soft dove's feathers, while the enchanting mirror was fashioned from a shimmering siren's shell. The enchanting fairy was extremely proud of her cozy home. What motivates you to save lost little boys and provide care for them? Answered Tinkerbell. Can fairies die too? Asked Wendy. Of course, if no one believes in them. The fairy began to tell. One sunny day, we were peacefully resting together with Petty on a cozy windowsill, enjoying the warm sunlight. A mother was reading a story inside. I don't believe in fairies, it's all just make-believe. Then I became increasingly weaker and felt as if I was on the brink of dying. Kids! If you truly believe in fairies, please clap as loud as you can. And the dreaming children from all corners of the world joyfully began to clap their hands in unison. And then I was healed. So let's ring in the fun. The movies vividly showed Wendy all the amazing wonders of the world. Petty and the others earnestly warned Wendy not to venture too close to the edge of the island, as the notorious Hook might be lurking there, waiting. Wendy loved splashing around in the mermaid lagoon. The little mermaids were incredibly sweet and charming, yet mischievous. Each person wanted to confidently show off their very best side. They held a competition. First, they joyfully sang together, and then they excitedly competed to see who could jump into the water the prettiest. Wendy was utterly enchanted by the performances and applauded every single contestant. Captain Hook heard that Wendy was on the enchanted island and knew that Petey deeply loved the adventurous girl. He made the impulsive decision to kidnap Wendy in order to lure Petey and ultimately catch him. One day while Wendy was playing ball with the mermaids, a shadow fell over the lagoon. A boat appeared, filled with ruthless pirates who, ignoring the desperate cries for help, forcefully pulled the terrified girl into the boat and rowed away. By the time Petty arrived, they had found a cold spot for the girl, on which it said, "If you would like to see the girl, kindly come tomorrow at noon to Captain Hook's ship, as planned." Petty and the other lost boys came together to devise a clever plan. The next day, Petty arrived exactly at noon at the pirate ship. So finally, Captain Hook rejoiced with glee as Pam Petty is now in Marcova. "Fight!" Later shouted fiercely to Petty, drawing his sword. "Not that," Hook grinned. "If you don't hand over the sword, the girl will die." He pointed to the young girl who was tied securely to the mast. Petty didn't want to put his dear friend in danger, so he selflessly gave up his sword. The captain chuckled. "Now you will die, Petty." Suddenly, the sound of ticking came from everywhere. The lost boys surrounding the old, creaky ship began to eerily mimic the relentless ticking of a clock. "Oh no, it's that crocodile again," Campo quietly whispered softly as he stepped back in fear. Taking advantage of the captain's distraction, Petty snatched the sword. "Prepare to die," the boy shouted. What a fight it was! The captain was bigger and stronger, but Petty was clever and faster. He forced the captain closer to the edge of the ship. The alligator approached the ship. Meanwhile, the group of lost boys climbed eagerly onto the deck and carefully brought up the heavy ice. Now, instead of the usual snow and ice, they playfully shot colorful, vibrant mud at the unsuspecting pirates. The boys were actively playing with arrows and roughhousing. The largest and heaviest one tumbled down the steep stairs, screaming in agony, inadvertently dragging at least 5 startled pirates along with him. They were extremely surprised and had no idea what to do next, as their captain was occupied fiercely battling against Petit. In the end, the pirates surrendered. It was a great victory. And Wendy was saved. However, the frightened little girl longed to return to her loving family, to her caring mother, protective father, and playful little brother. Peter Pan and Tinker Bell eagerly tried to persuade her to stay with them in Neverland, but the girl missed her family back home very much. So the little boy took her back to the real world. Petit frequently made visits to see his girlfriend. Sometimes he flew into her room and talked with her. He would chat with her mother or study with her father. He noticed that the little girl had changed. She slowly backed away in fear, and Wendy said, "I'm already old. Look, my little grandchild is sleeping over there. Her name is Moira." Petit looked at the little girl. He was captivated by her. "I think I'll give her a kiss." "A genuine kiss," he softly said as he leaned in closer to her. "Oh, don't do that," cried the bell, who usually accompanied Petit. He understood that if Petit kissed the beautiful girl, he would never be able to return to the magical Mindhauersack. It's time to grow up now. He thought deeply of Mindhauersack, the captivating hook, the enchanting bell, but he also longed to remain with Wendy and Moira. He desired his own loving family. He didn't think for even a single second longer and gently kissed the little girl on her forehead. When he grows up, he will marry Moira and finally have the family he dreamed of. In the enchanting land of Mindhauersack, the lost little boys continue to play and create mischief under the watchful gaze of the bell, yearning for Petit.